We had no intention of hunting anything today. It was supposed to be just a simple patrol, checking the trails, and enjoying the fields during harvest season. Then suddenly, the silence was torn apart. Not far from us, a wild boar was rampaging through the crops, destroying everything in its path. We couldn't let a creature this dangerous roam near the camp. One quick phone call, and the entire team was mobilized. This opportunity, or rather this threat, turned our quiet walk into an unavoidable hunt. The tense chase had begun. We arrived at the field immediately. Weapons ready, the team spread out, determined not to let a single aggressive target escape. Then, just as we expected, that familiar dark shadow appeared. I held my breath, loaded my rifle, aimed, and pulled the trigger. Boom! The shadow fell to the ground. It seemed the day had started off well. Don't take your eyes off the screen. Things were about to get even more intense. We began tracking the next target. Beep, beep. Less than 5 minutes later, the tracker sounded continuously. We rushed toward the location where the boar was hiding. From a distance, we could already hear the sound of branches snapping and trees breaking. Facing such a brutal destroyer, I didn't hesitate. Boom. A single bullet was all it took to bring it down. The fields were in danger. Any hesitation would mean greater losses. Every move we made became more urgent and precise. Meanwhile, on another patrol route, Jack suddenly spotted movement. The dark shadow charged forward like an arrow. The tension was unbearable. Seizing the moment, Jack fired. The first shot missed. The boar kept running. But Jack quickly steadied his aim. The second shot hit perfectly. The beast collapsed, restoring calm to the field once again. By afternoon, we received reports that a herd of boars had moved closer toward the village outskirts. We entered the boundary fields, areas that attract the boars with leftover crops, but also serve as perfect traps for our operation. The target appeared. A burst of gunfire echoed through the air. It refused to give up, but luck doesn't strike twice. The next shot finished it. Another decisive victory for us. Rustle. A faint noise from the distance caught our attention. Just as we expected, another boar darted swiftly out from the bushes. There was no time to hesitate. My heart pounded. The pressure was suffocating. If I didn't act fast, it would escape, and the fields would be in danger again. Boom. The bullet found its mark. One perfect shot, clean and precise. A sudden, flawless takedown. What do you think of that shot? Don't forget to share your thoughts with us.
Bravo, yeah.
As the sun began to set, we started heading back toward the village, but our vigilance remained high. Even a single moment of distraction could lead to bitter failure. And just when we thought the day was over, it wasn't. Crossing through a cornfield, another target appeared. A burst of gunfire rang out, cutting off its escape. In the end, victory was ours once again. The boar couldn't withstand the power of our rifles. The exhausting hunt concluded with a truckload of trophies, proof of a hard-fought success. The crops were safe once more. What began as a casual scouting walk had turned into a mission accomplished. Our team exchanged glances, no words were needed. In the outskirts of Texas, where endless fields stretch far into the horizon, the lives of local farmers are being torn apart by the overwhelming presence of wild boars. These beasts don't just tear through cornfields and destroy grazing pastures, they even dare to attack livestock in barns and stables. Facing this growing threat, one familiar name returns. Ethan, a seasoned hunter whose reputation precedes him. Alongside his trusted team, summoned by the local authorities, he sets out to restore order. Armed with modern rifles, GPS trackers, and unshakable determination, Ethan's crew begins their mission at dawn. But the question remains, will this journey bring a clean victory, or will the cunning monsters of the fields turn it into a grueling battle? The team had barely trekked 10 minutes across the grasslands when instinct whispered that danger was near. Ethan caught it first, the pounding rhythm of hooves, growing louder, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. In a flash, a massive herd of boars burst forth, thundering across their path. Ethan wasted no time. He raised his rifle, locked onto the largest brute in the pack, and boom! One clean shot, one instant takedown. The herd scattered in sheer panic, fleeing in all directions. A powerful, precise opening strike, the perfect start to what would be an action-packed hunt. But there was no time to celebrate. The team fanned out, chasing after the chaos. Moments later, a lone boar barreled straight back toward Ethan, desperate to break through the hunter's line. Unfazed, Ethan steadied his aim. The crack of his rifle split the air. The beast froze mid-stride before collapsing in the dirt, never given a second chance. A hulking shadow tore through the grass. The rifle tracked its every frantic move. Then came the sharp, decisive blast. The boar stumbled, slid across the dirt, and dropped lifeless, its desperate escape ending in futility. Pushing further out, the hunters thought they might finally catch a breather. But no, out of nowhere, another boar lunged forward, as if bent on a reckless last stand. Its gamble cost dearly. Under Ethan's unwavering aim, the rifle barked once more. The bullet struck true, dropping the beast instantly where it stood. If you've ever wondered just how fast wild boars can move, this moment says it all. Barely 5 minutes after the last encounter, another ferocious boar stormed into view, its speed terrifying. Ethan fired, the first shot missed. The beast weaved and dodged like it was taunting him. A second shot echoed, but still it darted away. Then came the third, a steady aim, a perfect release. The bullet struck home. The boar staggered, slid through the tall grass, and after a futile struggle, finally succumbed. By day's end, exhaustion weighed on the team as they began the journey back. But fate had one last challenge in store. Another boar emerged, but instead of fleeing like the others, it stood its ground, growling, glaring, daring the hunters with feral eyes. And the outcome? Inevitable. A deafening gunshot tore through the silence. The beast crumpled where it stood, its defiance short-lived. Another hunt concluded. With precise shots and calm execution, Ethan's team eliminated the rampaging beasts and brought relief to the farmlands. Most importantly, every step of their mission was carried out within designated hunting zones in strict compliance with the law. Our helicopter lifted off the ground at the break of dawn, cutting through a thin veil of mist that blanketed the southern Italian grasslands. The pale morning light drifted across low shrubs, where wild boars silently roamed, leaving behind winding trails of hoofprints. Inside the cramped cabin, the engine's roar pounded against our chests. Neither John nor I spoke a word. Only the sharp clicks of rounds being chambered broke the silence. Focus was absolute. Our hunt for the day had begun. On the very first scouting run, we spotted a pack of jet black boars lumbering along the forest's edge. Startled by the engine's thunder overhead, they scattered in chaos, leaving a tangled mess of tracks on the grass below. John raised his rifle calmly. Each shot he fired found its mark with absolute precision. My hands gripped the controls, feeling every vibration as the helicopter shuddered with each sharp burst from his weapon. By the time the sun rose higher, we had found another massive herd. They scattered in all directions, weaving unpredictably, making pursuit nearly impossible. I kept the helicopter at just the right altitude, giving John the perfect angle. John squeezed the trigger with composure, his bullets slicing through the air before slamming into the targets. I adjusted in sync with his every move, our teamwork flowing like a silent dance. One by one, the destructive beasts collapsed under his steady aim. Relief washed over us. We knew the farmers' fields were a little safer now. The golden blaze of the afternoon sun stretched across the grasslands, adding yet another challenge to our hunt. From above, we spotted two stragglers wandering near the forest's edge. John wasted no time. He steadied his rifle, eyes locked onto the targets. Each bullet flew true, decisive and unerring. Both boars fell quickly, and for a moment I felt as though the farmer's entire harvest had been spared in that single instant. Had we not intercepted them, the losses would have been devastating, months of labor destroyed overnight. What do you think of our seamless teamwork? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The Italian sun bore down mercilessly in the late afternoon, its blazing rays scorching the golden fields. From the helicopter, the shimmering air made aiming unreliable. Realizing conditions had turned against us, John and I made a swift decision: land the aircraft and continue the hunt on foot across the grasslands. As we followed a narrow trail cutting through the tall grass, a guttural growl suddenly erupted from a nearby thicket. My rifle came up instinctively, sight locked on the flicker of movement through the swaying grass. I squeezed the trigger slowly, one sharp crack, one clean shot. The bullet struck true, and the beast collapsed instantly. As the sun dipped westward, painting the fields in golden hues, we spotted a lone boar resting lazily, completely unaware of our presence. I steadied myself, rifle raised, eyes locked on the beast. With one smooth motion, I pulled the trigger. The shot rang out, precise, decisive. The boar froze, then fell without a sound. Clean, efficient, without disturbing the tranquility of the land. What do you think of the way I handled this? Share your thoughts below. With spirits high, our team decided to push on into night. Our targets remained the same, the massive, dark figures that lurked in the fields, sabotaging the farmers' crops. Then a sudden rustle in the brush. A boar burst out, lightning fast. My heart nearly stopped. But John's reflexes were razor sharp. Without hesitation, he moved like a seasoned hunter, his bullets cutting through the chaos with pinpoint accuracy. The beast collapsed before it could inflict any more damage. We laughed in triumph, satisfied with the day's success. As we packed up and headed back to the village, we felt like heroes of the harvest. Today's hunt closed with tense encounters, flawless teamwork, and the kind of precision only born from experience and responsibility. Every bullet counted, every decision mattered. The sound of the propellers tearing through the Queensland sky is not the noise of war, but the sound of protection. Down below, the fertile fields are under threat from an uninvited invader, wild boars. They devastate crops at a terrifying pace, and to stop them, we must be faster, stronger, and more decisive. Today, join us in this high-speed battle, an aerial hunt to restore peace to the land. At the break of dawn, we gathered quickly to outline our strategy for the morning. The goal: to use the aerial advantage of the helicopter to apply pressure, split, and isolate our first targets. The hunt is on. Before the first light of day, the helicopter sliced through the biting chill of the early morning, stirring the wild land of the west. The relentless hum of the engine easily drove the wild boars from their hiding spots, forcing them to reveal themselves. But it wasn't until the third shot, after recalculating the wind's direction, that I managed to pin down my first target in the open field. The greeting was tough, signaling the start of a hunting day full of challenges ahead. James' team on the other side was doing an excellent job of applying pressure, driving an entire herd of wild boars into a frantic sprint ahead. But one of them made a fatal mistake by breaking away from the group, turning itself into the perfect target. The helicopter swooped down like a predator, circling lower, and with a single shot that rang out clean, precise, it wrote the final chapter to this flawless performance, a testament to the perfect synchronization, down to the very last second. While James' team effortlessly claimed victory, our side found ourselves in a very different battle. These four-legged monsters were not just running on instinct, they seemed to possess a tactical mindset. They turned the terrain into a living shield, using every bush and tree to neutralize the aerial shots. Left with no other option, we made the decision to land, preparing for an all-out ground hunt. We touched down, taking a moment to rest and refuel with a simple lunch. The battle had now entered a new phase, patience, waiting, and studying the habits of our prey. Wild boars, though cunning, are always bound by their habits, and this trail was their fatal weakness. My job was simple: to wait patient and still. And in that split second, as it charged out, my reflexes and the sound of the shot were almost one and the same, sealing its fate forever with this land. If you think this shot was a beauty, give us a like. Not far off, in the open grasslands, a scene of tranquility unfolded. The wild boars were completely unaware, lost in the feast we had carefully set for them. And then, the silence was shattered by a few decisive shots. In the blink of an eye, the two largest beasts froze in their tracks, collapsing to the ground. From gluttonous creatures, they would now become the feast for tonight's celebration, where the joy of the hunt is shared with the entire village. Credit must be given to the hunting dogs, who finally cornered the cunning wild boar out of its stronghold. We had anticipated its escape route and waited patiently at the forest's edge. As soon as the boar bolted from the thicket, thinking it had evaded us, the barrels of our rifles were already there, greeting it with open arms. A long, exhausting day closed with a glorious victory, the fruit of relentless teamwork and unwavering patience. As the long day drew to a close, exhausted but satisfied, we reflected on everything we achieved. From the heart-pounding aerial chases to the intense face-offs on the ground, the mission was complete. Now the Land Rover Defender awaited, ready to carry our hard-earned trophies. Gliding through the sharp images captured on the iPhone 16 Pro, I realized that the true value of our work isn't just in the shots fired, but in bringing peace to the fields and reassurance to the farmers. The next episode will bring new challenges ahead, with swampy terrain to tackle and more wild boars to stop. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss it. Don't forget to hit subscribe, because the next chapter might just be even more thrilling.